around the air. It occurred to me at the end of last week's lecture where we were talking about the studio. I can't remember if I did this, but I've got a copy of my schedule for this semester. And so did I give this last semester? Okay. But I just want to repeat once again, just since I started to do this and the tape's now rolling, that if you booked studio time where it kind of corresponded with my office hours, okay, or when I'm here on campus, there's a greater likelihood you could then just come around the corner and ask me questions if you need some assistance in the studio, rather than having to ask the parapro if you need assistance. So let me remind you that that might be a good way to at least get over those kind of early studio jitters. Let me see a show of hands. How many people have booked the studio so far? How many people signed up for it? Okay, excellent. Almost everybody except for a couple of people who were here last week. As I said last week, sign up early while you still remember how to do this. The more weeks pass between seeing that lecture last week and now actually getting in there and doing the work, the more kind of distant that material will seem. There's a videotape of that particular lecture, and so for the two people that are here that are late today, you would want videotape number 7. And of course, some people have been known to actually check out videotape number 7 the night before they go to the studio the first time and watch the demonstration the second time and just kind of fast forward through boring parts. Okay? So that's an option. Anyway, this lecture tonight is meant to be kind of like a rest lecture. Okay? I gave you a lot of information last week, and I want you now to put that information into practice. Okay? So this is kind of a rest lecture where we'll have some easy stuff tonight, and so you can now have an extra week to kind of get in the studio, have your first taste of it, turn it all around, and so forth. And then next week we're back to another hard lecture. Okay, I mentioned last week that all of the lectures are all the classes are front-loaded with like the really good hard stuff right at the beginning, and then the second half of the class is a breeze because then it's putting in practice what you learned. So we're going to go over the view camera next week, but in the meantime, we're going to go over some things that you maybe know already, but I want to make sure that everybody knows how to make really good quality black and white prints. We'll introduce you to some new stuff that you haven't done previously, okay? And the second half of tonight's lecture is a slide lecture, where we'll look at some work by some contemporary photographers, and that's meant to kind of get the creative juices flowing, looking at other people's work. If I go see a photo exhibition, one sign that it's a good photo exhibition is as soon as I walk out of the building, I'm like, man, where's my camera? I really feel like going out and taking some pictures right now. And so hopefully there'll be something in this particular lecture that gives you that sort of response or impulse or something like that. But I want to start off with some things that you may have learned about in your basic class, but then you might not have, okay? Because I taught me about like 30 of you guys in basic, and other 2/3 I don't think I've met before, this class at least. And so I'm not absolutely sure that this was given to you, and I want to make sure that you know about this. And we'll do some new things that maybe weren't covered in your basic class, talk about archival processing, talk about toning, things like that. But first of all, there are two different types of enlargers that you can choose to check out when you check out an enlarger in Dartmouth. You can check out a condenser enlarger or a cold light enlarger. Okay? And if you don't know which is which, you're probably going to say, well, what the heck, me, whatever you want to give me. But they have different characteristics, and you may prefer one over the other. Okay? So a condenser enlarger is usually identified by having a fairly tall lamp housing to it, and inside that lamp housing is an actual light bulb. This is a condenser enlarger that is over here that we use for demonstration. Okay? Got a fairly tall lamp housing. Inside of it, you wrestle it open. There's a light bulb. Okay, an incandescent light bulb. Now look at this. You'll notice there's two sets of bellows. Okay, there is a upper set of bellows, and there is the negative stage where your negative carriage sits. Okay, then there is the lower set of bellows. The lower sets of bellows control focusing. Okay, the upper set of bellows actually have a knob that controls its position. Okay, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right. And you might ask yourself, you might say, hey, when I turn this knob, nothing seems to happen, okay? What's actually in here is there are a set of two glass elements that are kind of semicircle shaped. And what they do is they condense the light over a smaller negative, or they spread the light out over a bigger negative, okay? Beginning students, frequently randomly turn this going, why won't it focus? Then leave it in some random position, and then go, oh, that's right, it's these knobs here that adjust focus. Oftentimes I find myself when I have, like, some time to go, I'm one of those kind of people that like to stay busy. I'll just go to the dark room and I'll see if the enlargers are set correctly. And almost always, like 85% of them are set to something that is just random, that would not suit any size film, okay? Because beginners don't know, they turn things, okay? But there are two types of condenser enlargers in there, okay? There are the 23Cs, okay? And then there are also the 45s. The 45s are 4x5 enlargers. The 23Cs are enlargers that will handle 35 millimeter or medium format film. Okay? These other bellows need to be set correctly for the size of the film that you're using. Okay? And so you want them fully expanded for 35 millimeter. Since most of you will be shooting 35 millimeter this class, that is where you want to be, okay? You're going to walk over here, this thing is set to something random, and you're going to say, okay, stretch them as far as they'll go, okay? If you're shooting medium format, like a Liz or a Silky is here, okay, you want to have them fully compressed, okay? Yes?
Why?
Why? Excellent question. If they are set for the incorrect position for the size of film that you're enlarging from, when you project your negative down on the easel, the image will not be evenly illuminated. It will not be evenly illuminated all the way out to the corners of the image. And so you'll say, man, this one corner is really light. I've been burning in, and it never, ever comes in. And I've checked my contrast filtering, and it's not blocking, and I don't know what the heck's going on. The answer is the condensers were set incorrectly. Okay? On the 45s, there is an actual little post that is off to the side that has three little marks, one for 35 millimeter, one for 2 1/4 film, and one for 4x5 film. And there's a little pointer here that you align it with, okay? I will show you where that is in our demonstration, which ends tonight's class. We'll go in the darkroom, and I'm going to show you on the enlargers where that post is and where to set it. But you'll have three places to set it now: 35, 2 1/4, or 4x5. And it's not as simple as stretch or smash it. It's a little more sophisticated than that, and that's why I'm going to have to show you that in person. But if you don't check it, oftentimes you can be an hour into your pre-session and starting to notice, hey, I have an ongoing problem with the corners being overly light, and it's a simple fix at adjusting the condensers. Okay? Condenser enlargers are inexpensive. They are easy to use. They're nice and bright. Okay? Pole light enlargers have a kind of a round silver cap on them. Okay? The upper bellows are permanently compressed. You take the knob off and you can adjust it if you wanted to. Then there's the negative stage. And there's finally the focusing bellows. Pole light enlargers use fluorescent light sources. Okay? They don't use a tungsten light bulb. And that's where their name comes from. And one of these days I'm probably going to die in this classroom doing the demonstration. But just to make things vivid and visual, cold light. I can put my finger on this bulb, it doesn't burn my fingers. Okay? If I put my finger on a 100-watt light bulb and hold it there that long, you will start to smell burning flash. Okay? So, why is it important that the light source doesn't heat up very much? Have you ever put a negative into an enlarger, and as you're focusing, it suddenly seems to pop and change focus, and you now have to change to the new place that's in focus in? What happens is the heat from the light bulb heats the film, and at a certain point the film curls, and all of a sudden it's now in a new position. And now you focus on it in that new position, turn off your enlarger, take your time carefully lighting your easel. Meanwhile, the negative cools off and flattens out, and when you hit the print button, the image is out of focus. You say, what the heck just happened? One of the ways we teach people to solve that problem is to take tape and to stretch their film tight in the carrier and then tape down sprocket holes with masking tape to hold the negative flat. Okay? But pole light enlargers will not cause that to occur because they never heat up enough to cause the film to curl. In addition to this, cold light enlargers have one big advantage. Okay? And that advantage is, since it's a fluorescent lights don't cast shadows. okay? I'm under fluorescent light around. You see my shadow anywhere on the table? No shadow, okay? Why is that important? What is dust on a print? It is the shadow of a piece of dust that's on the film itself. So, cold light enlargers will decrease the amount of dust that shows up on your print. And for that reason alone, a lot of people say, oh yeah, okay, that's it for me then. I am going to always use a cold light enlarger, okay? And they're very good at that. Ansel Adams, when they invented cold light enlargers, he had been printing negatives, sometimes hundreds of times, over the course of 30 years. You can pretty much guess they got a few spots and scratches on them over that time. And when he found out that cold light enlargers suppressed this, he said, okay, that's it for me, I'm converted to cold light, and did all of his last thing with cold light enlargers. Okay? But you can never get something for nothing, okay? There's that basic rule in life, okay? Whenever you get something, if you look hard enough, you almost always find the traded something else away for it, okay? So, cold light enlargers are not as bright as condenser enlargers. They have that weird blue-green light to them, and most of my older students can't use them because their eyes just are not as good as they used to be, and they have difficulty composing on the easel, they have difficulty focusing their images, etc. Okay? But if you can get around that fact that the light source isn't as bright, therefore it's a little more difficult to compose, a little bit more difficult to focus the image on the easel, you might prefer a cold light enlarger over a condenser enlarger. There's one more thing about a cold light enlarger. If you have fluorescent lights in your basement, if you have fluorescent lights in your garage, you turn on the fluorescent light and it pauses for a second, then it flickers and it comes on, right? That is not a good thing with an enlarger. When you hit print, you want to just, boom, come on, okay? So, most of the cold light enlargers have a little cord that comes off them. And that is a preheater, okay? And if it's plugged in, it heats up the enlarging head so that the bulb is all warmed up and ready to go. Now when you print, boom, it comes on instantly, okay? And on the little motor on the side, over we got the nice little toggle switch to kind of make things go up and down on the motorized enlarger. You may notice there's a little courtesy outlet right there. Plug it in there, okay? And unplug it at the end of your printing session when you are turning everything back in. Problem we've had in the past is students will plug them in, forget to unplug them. Now they sit plugged in for like the next 5 days, burning, you know, and at some point they burn out. So you can tell if this is working by plugging it in. It's 5 minutes after you plug it in, you should put your hand on top of the enlarger, it should feel warm, okay? And if it isn't, that means that the preheater is burned out, and that might cause you some inconsistencies in exposure. Questions about cold light versus condenser enlargers? We're going to start in the back first.
The only difference is that it does cast shadows, basically?
Well, condenser enlargers will give you a nice bright image, okay? Easy to focus. Actually, since the light source is brighter, your exposure time will actually be a little shorter, okay? But they have condensers set correctly, and they will show everything, every little dust and scratch that's on your negative, okay? Cold light enlargers, the preheater needs to be plugged in before that is used in order to get optimal result from it. It will oftentimes make scratches, at least if they're minor ones, disappear. It'll oftentimes make dust spots, at least if they're minor ones, disappear. The big honking ones, yeah, they still show up, okay? The little ones will disappear. But they are not as bright, and so you'll have to make adjustments to your exposure time. And of course, you'll have to have a good set of eyes to use them too. I still use them. I find, dang, these seem dimmer than I was using them 10 years ago. And it's not like the enlarged got dimmer, it's my eyes getting dimmer. Okay? Other questions? Bernadette?
I was just going to say, they have the focus magnifiers that help, sorry.
Yes, and so when I use them, I usually get a pretty good set of eyes, and I almost don't need grain magnifiers because I've been doing this for 25 years, but I always use one when I'm using a cold light enlarger. So yeah, grain magnifier make a difference. And anybody who doesn't know how to use a grain magnifier, that's more of a one-on-one demonstration than a classroom demonstration. You've got to really kind of like be at your station and have someone show you how to use it. So let's do that. You know, we got lab throughout the semester. When you are working, ask me to demonstrate a grain magnifier if you're not sure how to use it. Okay, some basic kind of things that I just want to mention that you just want to always watch out for when you are checking out an enlarger. First of all, sticking the negative into the enlarger, this lens gauge moves, okay? which means that it's possible to put the lens in where it is out of level, okay? And if it is out of level, when you focus on one side of the image, the other side is going to be slightly out of focus, okay? So, avoid the heartbreak of wasting an entire evening only to discover later on that you did one thing, or you missed doing one thing that affected the appearance of all of your photographs. Check out bubble level every time you check out an enlarger. A little window here, place it right against the lens, the enlarger, and put the enlarger in focus, and you can adjust it and bring the lens into level, okay? So the little bubble is between the lines. By turning the enlarger on, the light will illuminate that. You'll be able to see it very easily. On most of these enlargers, you'll find there's a little knob here that you can loosen to make it turn easily, make it pivot easily, I should say. And then you can crank it down afterwards to lock it all down, okay? So it stays put like that for the next month or so. Life used to be so easy. Now life has gotten more complicated, okay? We try to buy the same enlargers so that as we replace old worn out ones, we bring in brand new ones that are new parts that aren't worn out, they're familiar to you, you've already used before, and they can't leave the damn things alone, okay? They always fill with them, they always add something, and it's always something that makes the enlarger worse. And you know, they'll say, oh, it's new and it's improved, right? It's the 23C rather than 23, you know, or 23C3 rather than 23C2. But of course, I always think it's just basically they found cheaper parts, you know, and so they now shave like 2 cents off of like the cost of the enlarger. The newest best of 45s that we've been buying no longer have pivoting lens stages, and instead they require the use of a leveling lens board. And a leveling lens board has 2 little screws on it, left and right, okay? And if my staff has their stuff together, the enlargers that need leveling lens boards should have lenses with leveling lens boards in that kit, okay? So if you want to level it, okay, if it's out level, you want to bring one end down, you screw in one end and it sticks up further and it pushes the end down, okay? And if you want to bring the other end down, you would retract that and screw that side in until you bring it into level. The problem is, again, is the people who had the enlarger before you. Oftentimes, they will just pop the lens out because they're in a hurry to get home, turn the stuff in because we have this over, maybe get to another class, get to work or something like that. And now they leave lens boards with these screws halfway sticking through them, and then some poor basic student comes along and say, I can't get my lens into the enlarger. And it's, yeah, because the 2 big screws blocking it, you need to retract those first. So remember, if you use a leveling lens board, to retract them as you take it out, okay? Now, I will assist you with this, okay? The parapros will assist you as well, okay? And if I think of it, at the break, I'll actually go grab one. I should have had one in here as a prop. And after the break, I'll show it to the camera and stuff like that so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, but just balance your and level your lens every time you start. If you don't, sooner or later you get caught, you get burned. Then after that, you say, okay, I'm never ever, not doing this again. Okay. Some questions about anything we've covered so far. Okay. I've asked you to buy fiber-based paper. I'm going to hand out here on some of the special things that you need to do with fiber-based paper. In one sense, the use of this is going to be very, very similar to the RC that you're already familiar with, but it's got a couple of things you need to know about it. With RC paper, normally you put the paper into the developer, and it develops out, and it develops out very, very quickly. Okay? You put it in the tray, and inside of 30 seconds, bang, there's the image. And then you rock the tray for the next minute and a half because that's what you've been told to do. But you're sort of tempted, you're saying, I could probably pull this after about 35 seconds, and it would look pretty good. Okay? Fiber-based paper develops in a much more linear fashion. Okay? It comes out a little bit at 30 seconds, a little bit more at 45 seconds, a little bit more at 60 seconds, and it keeps on going in that straight linear fashion. So, you can actually develop it for longer than 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes it continues to gain density as it sits in the tray. So, you can develop for 3 minutes if you want a little bit more contrast or desire richer blacks, but never develop it for less than 2 minutes. And the real key here is to standardize on a developing time and then control the density of your image by the exposure of the enlarger. Don't think of this like toast where you put it in the toaster and now you just watch it and grab out when it's right. Instead, control how dense, how dark your print is by the exposure. Now, you stop bath, you're going to put it in stop bath for 30 seconds. and you put it into the fixer. As you know, we have two different fixers. We have fixer number 1 and we have fixer number 2, okay? It'll be like the sink, and it'll be, fixer number 1 right here. And then it'll be fixer number 2 right next to it. Goes in for 2.5 minutes in fixer number 1 and 2.5 minutes in fixer number 2 for a total of 5 minutes. There's a reason for this, and I want to explain what that reason is so that you understand it and so that you do it right, okay? As you're coming down the sink, when your print hits the fixer tray number 1, it is loaded with silver halides that weren't used to make up the image, okay? So when it hits fixer tray number 1, fixer number 1 has some heavy lifting to do, okay? It has to start cleaning up all of that silver that wasn't developed out, the remaining stuff is still in paper, that wasn't used to make the image. And then after 2.5 minutes, it goes into fixer number 2. Now fixer number 2 is basically the cleanup tray. It does whatever fixer number 1 did do. Because of this sequence, fixer number 1 will exhaust before fixer number 2 does, okay? And then when we check it, we say, oh, hey, the fixer's exhausted. You guys have all been in there, you've seen this happen. What we'll do is we'll pour out and recycle, actually, fixer number 1. And we'll move fixer number 2 into number 1 position, and we'll pour fresh stuff in number 2, okay? And that sequence continues on throughout the day, throughout the month, and so on. If you don't follow the sequence, you mess everything up. I have had students where I'll watch them, I go in there and I pay attention to what you're doing, and somebody will put their print right in fixer number 2. And I'll say, hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. Hey, Joe. And they'll say, oh, well, this is the good stuff, right? So I'm going to put my paper in the good stuff. It's like, well, it won't be the good stuff if you don't follow the sequence, okay? You'll ruin it for everybody. So, 2.5 minutes in fixer number 1, 2.5 minutes in fixer number 2. You need to agitate continuously for the full time that they are in the fixer. You learn this in your basic class. And then everybody does the same thing. They go in the darkroom, they're doing everything the way that they were taught, and they see the one screw-up of the whole program who's also in developing, and they're saying, who should I emulate? Should I emulate instructions I was given in my class, or should I emulate the one sloppy screw-up that happens to be in here? And they all emulate that person, and nobody agitates the fixer anymore, okay? And there's this weird monkey-see, monkey-do kind of thing that cascades to the darkroom, and now nobody agitates the fixer because they don't see anybody else doing it, okay? If you do not agitate your fixer, bad things happen to your prints. And I keep an example over here, which will take me a second to find it. Just as a bad example of what happens if you don't agitate your fixer. And of course, if I had my stuff together, I would have had this sitting up on top. It would have been easier to lay my hands on. But I'm going to fumble in front of the camera here. There it is. Okay, see this big weird stain on this print? Okay. Hey, Peter. This stain here is where the print floated to the top, and it's sat there. Why do you have to agitate fixer? The chemicals that are immediately adjacent to the paper, they act on the paper, and they get used up. And so even when the paper is submerged, no chemical action is taking place unless you are regularly changing that chemical across the surface of the paper, okay? When everybody says, well, that person will shake it for me, so I don't have to do this, and I can now, indulge in my obsessive-compulsive, disorder, and I can do like these other things instead of just the one thing that I'm doing, okay? Your print will deteriorate early. It might be a day later, it might be a year later, okay? It might be actually like this, where by the time it got handed into me, it was already staining. We're going to talk about toning tonight. Toner keeps you honest. Because if you had agitated your prints and fixer, when you put them in the toner, they will stain, okay? So, and all of a sudden you get kind of dope slapped by the photo guy for being sloppy. So, get in the habit of routinely docking your trays, even though I know it's boring, even though I know it's tedious, and your photographs will last longer. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is the fact that you're working in the most permanent photographic medium that exists, okay? You make a fine gelatin silver print, process it properly, store it properly, 500, 600 years from now, it will look exactly as it does right now, okay? You probably looked at old photographs, you've seen some that look in remarkably good shape, and then you see other ones that are like fading, and they're staining, and they're breaking down, they got weird blotches on them. That's the difference between careful processing and careless processing. and you never know what you want to last. So educate your fixer. It's a good example, okay? Let those people who look at you say, okay, she's got her stuff together, she's doing it, I think I'll do it too. Okay, after the fixer, it's got to go for 2 minutes in the hypo clear. You may have skipped right through the hypo clear with resin-coated paper, but now it's got to be hypo clear for 2 minutes again. You got to agitate tray, okay? Hypo clear helps change the fixer that is soaked into the paper into a form that's more easily washed from the paper. Think it's like laundry detergent, okay? You can wash your clothes by throwing them in the washing machine and put water in it, but they will wash better if you use a little detergent in it too, okay? And because this paper has no resin coating that prevents chemicals from soaking into the fiber of the paper, we must extend out the wash times. Even if you're in a hurry, don't cheat on this step. Underwash prints will contaminate the belted drum dryer, contaminate all prints which follow. They'll also contaminate drying screens. They also, of course, will die an early death needlessly. So, you're going to have to quit a little early because you're going to have to anticipate that you have to wash longer. I asked you to buy double-weight paper, 20 minutes to wash this stuff. Okay? By the way, there's also a maximum wet time for this. Don't let your prints wash for more than 30 minutes. They start to get soft, they start to get mushy, and now they don't want to flatten out properly, and we flatten them. You've got 3 ways that you can dry your prints. You can use the drum dryer. I'm going to show you where the drum dryer is nice. Okay? If you lay them face up, you'll get a gloss surface. You lay them face down, a matte surface. And actually, I never ever show my students squeegee off prints, but they always do it anyway because they see everybody else doing it. Don't squeegee your prints when they go onto the drum dryer. Just squeegee them when they go onto the drying screens. Okay? Actually, if they have a little bit more water in them, they actually dry better on the drum dryer. The drum dryer's got to do something, you know. Okay, or you can dry prints on the drying screens. I'll show you where the drying screens are during the final hour of tonight's class. A print that is dried on drying screens will oftentimes have a kind of very soft luster gloss, but not that kind of like textured surface like you'll see on an RC print. My personal belief is that this is the most beautiful of all the photographic black and white surfaces. Okay, that's why I asked you to buy glossy paper, because you can dry it different ways. You can dry it on the drum dryer face up, get a gloss. Dry it face down, get a matte. Dry it on the screen, get a kind of luster surface. This is my print. I'm going to pass it around. When you pass it around, I want you to pass it around with 2 hands. I want you to handle it carefully. I never used to say that until somebody creased my print because they passed it around like it was a giant CVS snapshot, and of course it bent and creased and so forth. This is another important thing I want you to learn tonight. If you handle your work like it's precious, before other people see it, they will instantly think it's precious. Okay? And they will bring a set of expectations looking at print. So I hands to Janet like this. She's like, oh man, it's something special about to look at. And I go, here, look at this, right? She goes, it's nothing special at all, okay? So you want to prepare people that what your work that you're showing them is something special, it's a value. So let's get in the habit of handling your prints like this. Teach others around you to handle your prints the same way, okay? And not only would prints not get kinked and bent up, but they will look at them a different sort of way. Photography is very common in our culture, okay? Everybody got a camera phone nowadays. Everybody cranks out like 10 doofus snapshots a day, okay? Fine photographic prints are rare, okay? They are to be preserved, they're to be treasured, they're collected oftentimes, okay? So you want to handle this the way that it is. It's fine photographic print, okay? One more option. If you were to want to bring your photographs home with you, they're saying, no, I like the look of the drying screens. I really want to take my prints home so that I can then show them to my family member. I don't have to worry about coming back next week and collecting them next week. You can purchase a blotter book. Okay, blotter books are for sale. Freestyle, B&H, 4th Street Camera Catalog, best stock camera stores. Okay, if you use a blotter book, place the photograph face down against the blotter paper. Sometimes the instructions on these things are backwards. I'm guessing that wherever they made this, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, maybe they've had too much of Milwaukee's finest, and so therefore they get these backwards. Okay, so you can purchase a blotter book as a way to air dry your fiber-based paper. And basically what happens is it's put between lint-free blotter paper, and it now air dries over the course of a day or so. The last step is to flatten your prints. Dry prints should be placed between two clean pieces of mat board at 200 degrees in a dry mounting press. And then dry mounting press closed, you basically iron the print for 1 minute. Okay? Pop back open, and then while it's still hot, before it has a chance to curl up again, you put it between these two pieces of enameled steel and holds them flat as it cools. The metal absorbs the heat very efficiently. 1 minute underneath the flat plate after it comes out of the press. That usually takes away the thing that people hate the most about fiber-based paper, which is it's curly and bumpy and doesn't want to lay flat. So we normally keep these next to the other dry mounting press that's in the photo lab. We normally use this one routinely for dry mounting and the one in the lab for print flattening, although they can be swapped around. I'll show you where these are normally kept. I brought them to the classroom tonight just to show you what they look like. Any questions about fiber-based paper? Yes?
I have a question. Is it correct that we don't have to, after the developer, put a rinse our...
Oh, I haven't included the water rinse between each of those chemical steps. Water rinses in one sense aren't needed, okay, in a conventional lab because of the fact that each chemical neutralizes the previous one. But we use water rinses between each of our steps because we just have such a big program, you know. We will have, 200, 250 people that are in the darkroom portion of our program this summer, okay? And so that minimizes the amount of downstream contamination, making the stop bath last longer, making the fixer last longer. You'll notice the rinse trays, just to make fit in the sink, are 11 by 14, whereas the chemical trays are 16 by 20. So use the rinse trays for 8 by 10s and 11 by 14s. If you're making a 16 by 20 print, feel free to skip those, because it won't fit, so you'll end up bending your print and put it right from the developer into the stop bath and right from the stop bath into the fixer with 16 by 20. Okay, your question?
Can you pop some brown into that print?
Pop some brown into that print. Okay. This is why these questions are good. The print we are circulating here, and I'll hold up in a minute while it's finish looking at it, is warm tone paper. And I mentioned that warm tone paper gives a slightly different look than cold tone paper. First of all, it's warmer. Okay, it's got a little bit more of a brown kind of thing rather than the neutral gray of conventional black and white paper. Okay. This has also been selenium toned, which we're going to talk about in hour 2. And selenium toner reacts differently with cold tone and warm tone paper. With cold tone paper, it will turn the image a bit more purple. Okay. But with warm tone paper, it will turn the image red. Okay. Now this is kind of a unique sort of thing. This is what's called a split tone print. The most silver is in the darkest parts of the print. And then there's a little bit less in the midtones, and then there's a modest amount in the highlights. So it starts to turn red where there's the most silver, and then it spreads to the midtones, and then finally the highlight turns red too. Okay? If you take warm tone paper and put it in selenium toner and watch it carefully until just the shadows start to turn red, you can pull it out at that point, and then you'll notice the shadows have kind of an iridescent color to them, okay? Whereas the midtones and the highlights are still relatively neutral. They've got a little bit of creamier, warmer color to them, but not the pronounced red that the shadows have. And so that's a way of adding a unique solid quality to the image so that somebody who looks at it, beyond just enjoying the content of the photograph, there's something to enjoy in the print quality itself. If you're looking at paintings, you look at brush strokes, you look at the way they apply the paint, okay? If you're looking at sculpture, you look at the patina, ceramics, the same thing, the way that they apply the glaze and so forth. And with handmade prints, oftentimes there are subtle things that you can do to nuance the print that makes it less common and more uniquely beautiful. This is one of those things. Okay. Other questions before we continue? Okay. Let me look at my notes here to see what we've been discussing. I like to revisit contrast filters in this lecture. Okay? And so we're going to go over various contrast filters briefly one more time. Because if there's one question that's very popular, for me at least, it's people bring me prints and they say, Ron, is the contrast right? So how do you know if the contrast is right or wrong? Okay? So, the photograph is capable of a deep, rich black. Okay? And the deeper the black is, the more gutsy the print is. Okay? The photograph is capable of a bright, brilliant highlight. And again, the brighter the whites are, the more brilliant the photograph seems. And the more we can kind of spread out where the darks are very, very dark and the lights are very, very light, the more dynamic the print will look. Okay? So far, so good. but we don't want to lose information, okay? This woman's wearing a black sweater. I want to be able to see where her arm separates from her torso, okay? I want to see the ribbing of the texture of the material, okay? I want to see the contours of the woman underneath the sweater, okay? She's not 2D, she's a 3D woman, okay? So, I want to take these blacks as far as I can go. I don't want to fall over the edge where it becomes just a black 2D shape, okay? Likewise, I want highlights to be as bright as they can go, okay? But I don't want to wash out this person's skin. I don't want her to look like she's wearing kabuki makeup or something, no? I want her to look fair complected, but I don't want it to look totally blank bald paper. So, there are places where we want maximum black, like the shadow between the arm and the torso. There are places where we want like pure white, reflection of light source in her eye, okay? And then there are other places where we want a little bit of detail. We want to be able to see into shadows here and see, you know, again, what type of slur it is. We want to be able to see texture in the skin, okay? We want the whites of the eyes to be almost pure white, but not quite. So when you look at your prints, you want to look at them globally, okay? You can look at the wall and say, oh, that wall is really kind of gray. Well, yeah, the wall is gray because it's a gray wall, okay? And you say, man, I need to get more contrast in the wall there. But what you want to do is you first want to look at the print globally and say, okay, do I have a black? If I pushed further, would it plug up? Okay? Is it already plugged up? Do I have a highlight? If I pushed it further, would it wash out? Is it already bald and absent of tail? Okay? So you want to look at it, you want to evaluate it globally for how much contrast it has, and then use the contrast filters to adjust it if it isn't on the bullseye. Okay? So, filters are numbered to tell you what they'll do, and the number 2 filter is the same as no filter. That is your median point. Okay? That is the middle of dead. It's normally recommended that you put a number 2 filter in here so it blocks the same amount of light as some of the other filters. And that's what you first test it. If the shadow is gray, not really black yet, okay, we would want to increase contrast. So filters with numbers higher than 2 will make the blacks more black, the whites more white. So a 2.5 filter would increase the contrast slightly, a 5 would significantly increase the contrast, and of course each step up incrementally bump the contrast up. If you have a print where you have like, man, I got to dodge like the shadow here, 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 and here, and then I got burning all these highlights here, here, and here, and here, and I've been burning and dodging, I can't get it right, chances are your contrast is too high, okay? Filters with numbers lower than 2 will lower the contrast. They'll reduce the contrast, either slightly or significantly. Since you're under exposure adjustment, normally when you introduce a darker filter, anticipate the filter will block some of the light. Run a test strip to determine how much increase your exposure. If you use a number 2 filter, when you run your first test strip, start off at F8, because that number 2 filter will block some of the light. And then now, if you need to adjust the exposure, or I should say adjust the contrast, I should say that correctly. You need to adjust contrast. You can change anywhere from a 1 to a 3.5, swapping the 2, and the exposure should remain the same. Okay? When you make big jumps, either to a 0 filter, or a 4, or a 4.5, or a 5, with those filters at the far ends of the scale, you'll need to open one additional step in your aperture to compensate. So what most people find is when they make that transition from 3.5 to 4, that's where they have to double their exposure. And the easiest way to do that is to open the aperture. Questions about contrast? Okay. I'm going to talk briefly about archival processing, and then after we have that part of the lecture, we will take a short break. Okay? I usually try, after about like an hour and 10 minutes or so, give you guys a break. Okay. I got a box here. A box full of my prints. Okay. And I reach in the box and I go looking for some of my prints. Pull out a print that I made in either 1978 or 1979. Okay. A long time ago. I'll let you guys do the math as to how long ago it was. Okay. But if it is correctly processed, okay, and it is correctly stored, 20-some years later, it comes out of the box, it looks as the same as when I stuck it into the box, okay? Assuming my daughter takes care of this box, and my grandchildren take care of this box, it comes out of the box 200, 300 years later, it looks the same as it does right now, okay? Or, of course, you can make prints in such a way that, like, a day after you make it, they're already starting to fall apart, okay? They're already starting to deteriorate and die. To make prints for maximum permanence is what's called archival process, okay? And so the first step is proper fixation. We talked about that. You gotta shake and fix trays. Whether it's fun, whether it's interesting or not, you still gotta do it, okay? You gotta wash the print for the correct amount of time, okay? You have to dry it carefully. But now, the type of mat board that you put on and the kind of box that you store it in will affect the long-term life of the photograph, okay? All these things I keep in here as examples. Newsprint is cheap paper, okay? By the way, this is Colin Griffith's photograph back in 2001 when he won the awards for the New York Times. Anyway, here, in this particular piece of paper here, it's a couple years old and it's already really yellow, okay? You keep it another 20 years and you're going to have to be careful how you handle it, otherwise it will crack and crumble, okay? Newsprint is cheap paper. What happens when you make paper cheaply? You leave acid in it. Acid causes paper to yellow. Acid causes paper to deteriorate and break down. This mat board that we give you from the back of the classroom, do you think this is really great mat board? And we say, oh, only the finest stuff for our students, right? And we're going to give it to them for free just because we love them so much. I wish, honestly. But the reality is that is stuff that was destined for a dumpster, okay? We saved it from a landfill because we knew we could use it for something meaningful, okay? But it's not great stuff, okay? If you make mat board cheaply, one of the things you do is you don't refine it very much, so therefore it retains acid in it. And over time, that mat board will yellow, and it will stain, and it will cause the photograph that is in contact with it to yellow and stain. I have some early photographs that are like this, and I have seen that occur, okay? So, if you want the good stuff, like everything else in the world, like you want the good stuff, you got to pay for the good stuff, okay? So you go to the art supply store, you say, hey, you know what? I would like some acid-free mat board. That is sometimes known as rag board because they use cotton rag fiber rather than regular wood pulp. And they say, oh, you want the good stuff? Come to the Met Humidor over here, right? We'll show you where the good stuff is kept, okay? Or you can buy the good stuff from places that specialize in selling the good stuff, like Light Impressions Corporation, like University Products, okay? And you don't have to use it. I just want you to be educated. I want you to know decisions, be fully informed in the decisions that you're making. I want you to know what you're deciding to do. If you say, hey, I don't have much of a budget, and I'm just doing this because it's fun, don't spend a lot of money on it. Cool. But, if you're like me, you're going to be maybe hoping that your photographs, will be passed on to your children. If you're hoping that, I'm amazed that certain photographs that I didn't think were that important to me turned out to be very important to me later on, okay? I'm glad I did the job right, and it now lasts. Likewise, the boxes that you store your photograph in, the boxes that your paper comes in, do you think Guilford and Arista, they say, oh, okay, since these are correctly sized and shaped, we should use archival mat board to make these boxes because people frequently put their finished prints right back into the boxes? Of course not. They just want to sell their product with the maximum profit margin that they can, so they use inexpensive cardboard. So you might want to consider an archival box, okay? Archival boxes not only keep your work organized, they keep light away from your photographs, okay? Light causes color photographs fade, okay? Causes paper to yellow. All you have to do is leave stuff in the window for a long period of time and you see that, okay? So a box is a good thing. It keeps things in the dark. It keeps dust off your work so that over time your work doesn't get dirty, so that it doesn't abrade against itself as it moves with these little kind of like little mini sandpaper surfaces that are abrading against things. Again, you've seen old photographs that are in great shape. You've seen old photographs that are in poor shape. Oftentimes the issue is storage. Photographs don't like heat, okay? You learn in high school chemistry that if you heat something up, a chemical reaction happens faster, right? So if your photograph is deteriorating in any way, that will happen faster in a warmer environment. So don't store your photographs in the attic. Even though that's a good place for storing stuff, okay? Keep your Christmas decorations up there, but don't store your photographs there. Photographs don't like humidity, okay? What is a photograph? It is gelatin coated on the paper, okay? Mildew likes to grow in paper, okay? You've all been down in the basement and found an old album, record album that was down there, that had been down there a little too long. You've opened up a book that had been down there a little too long. And now you'd like to enjoy the album, you'd like to enjoy the book, but it stinks, okay? And it maybe bothers you. It triggers your allergies. Keep your photographs on the same floor that you live on. They will live longer.